All right. How's it going, everybody? It is the Awesemo.com NHL DFS Strategy Show. Had a little trouble there. Went to the wrong link. I guess I don't know what I did wrong, but looks like I'm live and in the at least somewhat correct spot. So got that going for us there. 6 games tonight. We won't talk showdown. The prizes are very, very soft. We'll have plenty of time to talk showdown in future dates. I think we've got like a bunch of 1 and 2 game slates coming up in a couple weeks because they had to extend the regular season because a bunch of teams got COVID. As you know, if you've been playing NHL DFS at all over the course of the season, at least you can't fire myself, Adam says in Premium Slack. That is true. I guess I could fire myself, but why would I want to do that? It's pretty good life working here at Awesemo.com. So 6 games for today. There is some news that's rolling in. So it feels like every time I've done one of these solo streams, there's been a bunch of late games, a bunch of West Coast starts. So we got some news for the Sharks. We got some news for the Avs that some people are sharing in Slack. So as always, the people in chat are going to help me produce this show when I'm on here by myself. Just right off the bat, we'll talk about last night very briefly. Got these, I'm trying to cut down the time of the show. I'll say that every single time, and then we'll end up going pretty much the full hour. But just want to point out that we are sponsored by Jock Market. As you guys know, if you haven't checked them out, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. We're giving you, and they're giving you, a free $20 when you deposit. So you use promo code AWESEMONHL20 for a $20 deposit bonus when you sign up on Jock Market. You do it straight from your phone. Just go to the App Store, search Jock, J-O-C-K, Market, and it's MKT. I think if you type out Market, like how you normally spell Market, it'll show up there for you. But download the app. Use promo code AWESEMONHL20. It's a $20 bonus on your first deposit. Gameplay is a little bit different than some of your other DFS sites, but it's kind of a combination between stocks and fantasy sports. So pretty cool gameplay over there. I think you guys will enjoy it. And, if you don't want to stop playing the other sites, I'm not saying you got to do that, but I think you should give Jock Market a look. And it's a newer gameplay, so those usually have the highest edges. And you can buy and sell shares of players during the game. And it's based on your own analysis. So you might be watching a game and you can buy or sell some shares of players in real time. And it's even more immediate gratification than one-day fantasy sports. So go check out Jock Market if you guys haven't. Again, promo code AWESEMONHL20. If you ever need that promo code, when I'm on these solo streams, there's not much producing going on, so you'll just see it in the top right-hand corner. And it's been Awesemo NHL 20 for quite a bit, so you're usually good with that. We've also got some other promo codes on the NBA shows as well that are sponsored by Jock Market. So just want to make sure we point them out because they're helping us keep these shows free, even when you just have to tolerate me. Haven't caught you in a minute. Jeremiah says, miss you on the streams with Josh. Yeah, those were some fun times. That was right when the site started. So it's too bad we can't stream every day. I'm doing some other stuff on the site. Josh is one of our main content guys, and Josh does a lot better job on the MLB shows than me anyway. So, I miss those streams too. It was very, very simple back then. Josh and I, every morning, I think it was 9 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock, my time. And we would just talk about MLB for like an hour and a half. It was nice. How the times have changed, but they haven't changed that much because I'm still doing shows. Still doing some NHL shows. Cliffy and Josh doing some NHL shows as well. Talk quick about last night. If you weren't in Slack, it was, personally, it was a very successful night. I just basically had one lineup that went completely nuts. So we can look at this. It was actually a lineup that I late swapped onto, because I went back and looked. I didn't upload this lineup, and so I think when Florida changed their lines pregame, if you're in the Slack chat, you saw that we were on that right away. They swapped to some really weird lines, and I think a lot of them I swapped to the third wheel because it wasn't looking like it was just looking to be a really low scoring slate. So I was like, whatever, I'll get the even strike combos. Maybe some people won't have those. And then I did do some of the, but I mean, I would have had to leave off a lot of salary. And on some of my lineups that I could fit in, like the power play stack, like you're seeing here with Bennett, Huberdeau, and Barkov, even our boy Keith Yandel, who we're not super fond of, but he did me well last night. So it was just a 4-3-1, 3-man Tampa 1 stack. I wasn't super high on them. I think I was actually below the field. I was probably closer to 10%. You see their ownerships here. They're mid-teens, upper teens for point. And then I think this lineup originally had Yossi in it, and I swapped Yossi down to Ellis, I think, to get in Barkov, because this was a Florida 2. So I did some global swaps, and then I hand-edited some of the rest of the lineups that were leaving on like $2,500 and $3,000, which usually you don't really like to do. So that was that, and it worked out in a pretty big way for me. So that lineup actually had $500 left over. I think I had some lineups like, 45, 200. Like, these are probably not lineups that I should really be playing too often. I'm assuming a bunch of these, it looks like a bunch of these were Florida that I just global swapped to with the new combos. But you needed the power play stack, and that was pretty much the end of it if you didn't have that. Slack updates can't guarantee you winning, but it sure helps to keep you from losing. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things, like, I get saved a lot by Slack when I'm out or whatever, going to get some dinner, and I get a Slack alert or just a Slack message when there's another couple games starting, and there's a late scratch. Like, it's huge. You don't want to be taking zeros. So really hard to win when you take zeros. You just gotta, if you can be around to swap, I think it's still a pretty decent edge, especially on some slates like last night where things get a little bit weird after lock. I think that's pretty much it on last night. Let's move it to tonight. Did I say 6 games? I think that's right. Main slate. I got the lineup builder. Yeah, okay. 6 games. If you guys want to check out ownership projections, I lied the other day, and I said that NHL ownership projections were free, and they're actually going to be free for today. So the social guys that decide that, they have a schedule for that. They're helping me out because I lied the other day, and now they're actually going to be free. Yeah, Ottawa, Vancouver is a 5:30 Eastern time start. Yeah, there's a bunch of weird start times coming up with all these makeup games. I don't exactly know what the method to the madness is, but it's going to be some weird showdown. So if you like showdown, it's going to be a nice little stretch for you. Then we'll get some 4 and 5 gamers for the playoffs. And are they doing? They're doing 16 playoff teams this season. For some reason, I was thinking they were doing 24, but it's 16. So probably some 3 and 4 game slates, more so than 5 gamers for the first round or so. All right, we've got the Blues and the Wild. Feel free to drop any news that we get during the show. If you guys want to, we can talk about it in real time. 2.5 implied total for the Blues, 3 for the Wild. Probably going to be Binnington against Cam Talbot. In this one here, you got Eriksson at Greenway, Foligno, one of the best, I think probably the best shutdown line in the league. And I think they're going to go up against O'Reilly, Shen, and Perron. So that pretty much wipes out St. Louis 1 for me. Not that I would really want to play him a ton anyways. But, going right into the teeth of what I think is the best shutdown line in the league. That's probably going to be a no-go for me. I think you're going to see Rask, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello see St. Louis 2 and 3. Same thing with Hartman, Fiala, and Marcus Johansson. And then that Minnesota 4, that isn't really a fourth line. They play a decent amount of minutes. They'll get some mix of 2, 3, and 4 is how I have the line matching going in this game. So I guess that makes it pretty easy for what I want to do. I'm not crazy on the Minnesota side. I really want to. This Kaprizov, Rask, Zuccarello line has really given me problems this season. I feel like I haven't really gotten them right too often, and I think it's because their 5-on-5 numbers aren't great, and they've been getting owned a lot, and they've been performing well. So that's not really a good combination of things for me. Usually, they are on home ice here. They're going to get a better matchup. I doubt they're going to go up against O'Reilly, Shannon, Perron really at all. Going up against the weaker Bozak line, the weaker Robert Thomas line as well. I think it's an okay spot for them. I am a little confused on the ownership we're showing for them, though. Kaprizov is 6,900. I mean, okay, maybe he's not super popular tonight, but I was thinking closer to 10% for them. If they're going to be 2 or 3%, then yeah, I'm in on some Minnesota 1. But I think they're going to come up in our ownership projections by time we get to lock. So I'll monitor them. But I kind of like St. Louis 2 going up against Minnesota 1 and Minnesota 3. They both have pretty poor defensive numbers. You get Tarasenko and Schwartz, mostly Tarasenko for $6K. It's a reasonably priced line. They're pretty low owned as well. I would be surprised if they're higher owned than the Kaprizov line for Minnesota, but I've certainly been wrong before. So St. Louis 2 and Minnesota 1, I have some interest in. I don't think this is a game that has a lot of priorities for me. I will say on the St. Louis side, it looks like they've got some reasonable defensemen tonight, and Parayko is a game time decision. So that could make them a little bit tougher. You'd probably downgrade Minnesota's forwards should Parayko play, even if he's not at 100%. He's better than these other clowns that they've had to play recently with all their injuries. Never full stack Minnesota, Dylan says. There's always a third wheel. Yeah, and it stinks when the center is the third wheel, Rask, and he's on top power play with Kaprizov. So it's like, can you really leave him off? I mean, yes, you can. I don't know. Like Fiala is a clear 1 on Minnesota 3, and then Hartman and Johansson are very much secondary plays for me. So I think if you're one-offing Fiala, absolutely playing on this third line, he's going to get good matchups. He's still got very good rates, even though the line mates he's playing with aren't solid. I still think you could play him as a one-off guy. For the blue line here, you got either Spurgeon with line 1 or Dumba if you wanted to go to that third line. I like either of those guys as one-offs. I feel like I mention them every single time the Wild plays, but I never have a very strong lean on them just because a bunch of these Minnesota defensemen are kind of the same. So I think, maybe you get some Dumba. He's not on the top power play. Maybe that brings his ownership down. We've got him at 2% right now. I'm pretty comfortable playing some Dumba at 4,600 if he's not going to be owned. Goalies in this game, Talbot, 8,200. He's been seeing a lot of volume. Pretty good chance at a win. There's a low total against him, so I'm fine with some of him in Minnesota stacks, but I don't think he'd be a guy I'd want to one-off too often tonight. And then Binnington, 7,300. Like he's at a good price point, and I suppose it is a winnable game for the Blues here. But I just don't really believe in him as a goalie. He's been one of the worst goalies in the NHL this season. Cliffy says, I think Minnesota 1 could be low owned. There are a ton of mid-price lines tonight. San Jose 1, Vegas 2, Montreal 2. Yeah, true. And I haven't played too much around with lineup construction, so I will need to run on my lineups, and then I'll update in Slack. Like if all of a sudden Minnesota 1's my highest owned stack, on the slate, or I anticipate them being high for me, I'll let people know in Slack. But I don't anticipate this being a game that I'm super heavy on for skaters. I think my highest owned line is probably going to be St. Louis too, but I don't even know if I'll get to double digits on them on a pretty short slate. Let's go to Toronto and Montreal. We've got a 3.2 implied total for the Leafs, 2.7 for the Canadiens. Campbell and Jake Allen are your expected goalies. And some big news in this one. We don't have it updated just yet on the lineup builder, but Cole Caulfield, is it Caulfield? Yeah, it's got to be Caulfield. No, it's got to be Caulfield. I never know these guys or what they're about until they make it to the NHL. So this guy, apparently very good player. I did look up his stats very quickly in college. I think he had like 52 points in 31 games. So yeah, it's the college level, but it looks like he's potentially going to be a stud. And he's playing actually with Toffoli and Suzuki. So they were skating together at morning skate. And I think, I can't remember if Armia was on with Tatar and Danault, but I want to play this Montreal too. And I know they're not going to be sneaky because, anybody that, like, I even recognize this guy's name. Like, he's been a prospect there's been some buzz about since the college season ended. So he's up. He's playing on a good line. Suzuki Toffoli have been very good together. And, I'll be playing some Montreal too for sure. Not only because I think they're going to be a good trio, but they get the less good Toronto line. They're not going to face off against Matthews, Marner, and Foligno very often. I think you're going to see Danault, Tatar against Matthews and Marner. So probably going to steer clear of Montreal 1 for the most part. But yes, definitely in on Montreal 2. He won the Hobie Baker. Yeah, I'm terrible with the award names. I think that's like outstanding player in college, right? He set goal scoring records for the U.S. national team, breaking Kessel and Kane's records. Okay, well, there you go. This guy seems to be pretty good. I never know how to project these guys. I think I talked about this on the stream on Monday. But if you think I'm too low on him and you're using our projections, I would just give him a thumbs up in FC or give him a thumbs up in your head and click him into some lineups, because while maybe the people that are watching this and like some sharp players are going to be on him, you don't know what the other people are doing. You don't know people that are making their own projections, these other pros that play other sports. You don't know if they're going to be very high on him. So you might get him at a lower ownership, or you might get Montreal 2 at a lower ownership than maybe what they should be. He's no Lucic. Well, Lucic used to be very good, right? Not so much anymore. He looks like he has the green light. All right, you guys are all saying good things about this guy, so I like it. Lehkonen with Danault and Anderson. I would imagine that line goes up against Toronto 1 then, right? Kakiniemi, Armia, Perry. Maybe they see some time against Toronto 1. It doesn't really matter to me that much. If you're looking to play Toronto, I think you can definitely play them. Montreal's still one of the most penalized teams in the NHL. It's Matthews. He's going to score. Does he score 1? Does he score 3? That's always the question. He is 9,200, and you don't get Foligno on the top power play, but I'm fine playing Foligno with Matthews and Marner. You can one-off Matthews, even though he's going to be popular. You could, I don't love one-offing popular players on slates that are more than like 3 or 4 games, but he's probably going to score. He does it most games, and if you can make the rest of your lineup work with 3-2-1, by all means, get you some Matthews. I think I'm going to be pretty heavy on both second lines in this game actually. Tavares, Nylander, Galchenyuk, really good numbers at 5-on-5 so far for them. I'm hoping they are trading chances with Suzuki and Toffoli and Caulfield. I do like the second line a lot. So if you can't get up to Matthews and Marner, I think you get a pretty good consolation with Tavares and Nylander. They're not going to probably play the 20-plus minutes that Matthews and Marner are going to get, but they're still going to be on the top power play. And Galchenyuk is not too bad of a third wheel. So I believe in this Toronto second line. Second lines in this one for me are the main targets. Like I said, if you want to go Matthews, by all means, he's always a good play. Legitimately, almost always a good play. In the same range as McDavid, MacKinnon. Although we'll talk about MacKinnon tonight. He's probably still a fine play, but a pretty tough spot for him. So maybe you guys will convince me on what we should do with MacKinnon tonight. Other things in this game. If you want to play Shoutout or Edmondson as a punt defenseman, they're both under 3K, probably a spot where they're going to be able to block some shots. So if you're looking to, just get that last guy in, I think either of those two guys are reasonable punts. Morgan Riley, 4,900. His price has come. This is the first time I've seen Riley under 5K in a while. So maybe put some back in range. You can play him with either Toronto 1 or Toronto 2. I don't think I would be looking to one off him though at 4,900. Still not cheap enough for a guy that's, he's hovering around 10 individual shot attempts per 60, which is okay. But when he's always popular with Toronto 1 lineups, and he'll probably be even more popular because you're getting two guys in the top power play in Toronto 2 as well. So he's a throw-in that people like to go to. I think that's fine, but again, probably not one-offing him tonight. All right, let's go to – actually, do we have anything for goalies there? $7,500 Jake Allen. Yeah, the volume's going to be there, I would think. If they can stay out of the penalty box, Montreal is a good 5-on-5 team. And so maybe you get some of that lower danger those lower danger shots rather than power play shots from Matthews and Tavares and Nylander and Marner, which could sink Allen pretty quickly. Petrie Weber on the PP with Montreal too. Okay, that is good to know. Okay, so these are flipped. All right, these will get updated. It's usually like right after the show or shortly after the show. We get an update on the lineup builder with all the correct lines from Morning Skate, or at least our best guess. Tavares and Nylander have been very good. That is true. I like them tonight a lot. Okay, let's go to Edmonton and Winnipeg. We've got a 3.1 implied total for the Oilers, 2.9 for the Jets. Mike Smith and Connor Hellebuck are your expected goalies here. Another McDavid slate. Same kind of thing with Matthews. If you want to play McDavid, by all means, go play yourself some Connor McDavid. He's amazing. His line mates are cheap. If you full stack him, you're probably going to see some increased ownership on a guy like Dominic Cahoon because he's 2,600. I think it's fine to full stack Edmonton one. Like, I don't think Cahoon is Josh Archibald. I don't think he's like the biggest plug in the world. He played like 13 or 14 minutes last game. So could he get you an assist, or could McDavid throw in off his skate? Yes, he easily could do that. But I don't think he's the worst player in the world. And McDavid has definitely played with some worse players than Cahoon. So Edmonton one's fine as a full stack. They're going to get matched up against Scheifele, Kopp, and Mason Appleton. I actually kind of like Winnipeg one here. I was clowning on them 2 nights ago in the same spot, and obviously it didn't work out for Winnipeg. Like, they got crushed. They got McDavided very, very quickly into the game. He had a hat trick. He just had one of those games where he was unstoppable, and he might do that again. But I was encouraged from the game reports on Natural Stat Trick. Scheifele, Appleton, and Kopp did generate a good amount of shots, scoring chances, all that stuff. And so, yes, McDavid's amazing at 5-on-5 offensively, but I think you can target against him defensively. So I'll be playing some Winnipeg one here. Looking at their ownership, let's see where we're at. Yeah, low teens, it looks like. I think that's about right, honestly. If you would have asked me this 2 nights ago, maybe I would look to fade them, but I think I like Winnipeg 1 over Winnipeg 2. We'll see if I end up looking very dumb on that, because I like Edmonton 2, and they're going to get Winnipeg 2 and Winnipeg 3. Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and Yamamoto. Like I said a couple nights ago, they started off their sample this season pretty poorly. But I think they're going to go back to being a very good 5-on-5 line if McDavid's not on their line, and everybody's got to focus on him. So Dubois, Connor, and Wheeler, not a line I'm worried about. Certainly not any Blake Wheeler line this season, at least. I like Edmonton 2 as a full stack over Edmonton 1. If you can fit in McDavid with Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, it gets very, very expensive very quickly. Tyson Barrie's price is below $6K though. So I think you actually can do it and make some lineups that probably don't have a large chance of being duped. And that's always the important thing when you're going with the 3 stud forwards and Tyson Barrie, because then your options are super, super limited after that. Nothing on the Edmonton 3 line, nothing really to note on Winnipeg 3. I guess if you wanted to go Stastny, Perreault, like, go ahead. They're $6K. Maybe not the worst line in the world, and they also get to go up against Edmonton 3 and Edmonton 4. And I'd play just about anyone going up against them. So if you want to do a 2-man mini with those two for cheap, I don't think that's a bad idea. Pionk, 4,100, top power play duties. He's cheap enough where I think you can one-off him, but I would obviously prefer to play him with some sort of Winnipeg power play stack or just Winnipeg 1 with Scheifele and Appleton. Correlation for Edmonton is all screwed up, but you get yourself some Connor McDavid. Yeah, that's the problem when he's skating with Puljujarvi and Cahoon. Any worry about Hellebuyck? He's been pulled a lot recently. No, not really. He's got a pretty good track record of being a good goalie. These guys go through stretches like this. I think Hellebuyck's fine at 7,800. It's never fun to play a goalie against McDavid, but if Winnipeg can stay out of the penalty box, which they have for the most part this season, they're one of the least penalized teams in the NHL. If they can stay out of the penalty box, I think he's going to see volume and hopefully not a super crazy amount of high danger volume, which is always the worry when you go up against Edmonton. Morrissey, since he's not on power play 1, he's probably out for me. Not really interested in one-offing him. I guess he goes a little bit with the second line. They kind of split up their units. Connor on one unit, Scheifele and Appleton and Stastny on the other. So if you want to play Morrissey with line 2, I suppose that's fine. Anything else in this game? Sissimo's boy, Adam Larson, 3,100. I'm probably out on that. All right, let's go to the Avs and the Vegas Golden Knights. 2.7 implied total for the Avs, 3 for the Knights. Devin Dubnyk, I've got penciled in, and Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, we did have some lineup. Updates actually right before I came on here. Avs lineup. Yeah, okay. Dubnyk in net, Landeskog, McKinnon, Burakovsky, Jost, Kadri, and Nishushkin, Soderberg, Comfer, and Sherwood, O'Brien, Belmar, and Martin Kaut. Okay, so the difference here is Jost, Kadri, Nishushkin. Okay, so Tyson Jost slots to Kadri's wing. Kadri back on what is line 2. That means he's not playing with a third wheel. I mean, Jost maybe a third wheel. I mean, he probably is, but I do like Kadri and Nishushkin together. And I think so I had Colorado 2 written down just because they're going to get the weaker Vegas lines. Most importantly, they're not going to face off against Vegas 1. That will be reserved for McKinnon and co. And McKinnon's not even that low owned in the spot. like these are two teams where like they both have a ton of offensive ability. They both have a ton of defensive ability. So it's one of those where you could see it going, very close checking, tight game, 2-1 type deal, 3-1 empty net, like more of a playoff atmosphere. Or you could just see this going completely nuts and just the offensive talent takes over. So that brings me to ownership here. And I think it's pretty low, like too low of ownership on the Vegas side for both of the top two lines. If Vegas 1's going to be lower owned than Colorado 1, I think that's a pretty easy choice for me. MacKinnon, Landeskog, and Burakovsky don't have amazing numbers so far. Granted, they were up against the O'Reilly line. That's a pretty tough matchup, but so is Stevenson, Pacioretty, and Stone. So I don't think things are really going to change that much for them at 5-on-5. They're obviously great on the power play, and they're fully correlated. So I'm not trying to talk anyone out of Colorado 1 here. I'll crunch out a bunch of Colorado 1 lineups, but I think a lot of them are going to get filtered out for me unless I'm just completely off base here. So I don't see myself getting to the field on Colorado 1. I do see myself getting to the field on Vegas 1 and Vegas 2, and definitely Colorado 2, because we're showing under 2% ownership for Jost and Nichushkin, and Kadri at just above 2%. So definitely interested in some Colorado 2, assuming I'm getting the matchups correct here. I'll play Vegas 1 pretty much any slate where it's 6 games and they're under 10% ownership. And I think we're about right on this ownership because Pacioretty's price is up there. Just got to make sure we have. Yeah, okay. This is DK pricing. All right. Sometimes I forget because when you reload the lineup builder, it defaults to FanDuel pricing. So, gotta make sure that we're on DK pricing here. But, yeah, I think we're correct on the Vegas 1 ownership. I don't think they're going to be super highly owned. So I'm in on that for sure. Vegas 2, they're more high paced than Vegas 1, and they're going to get the better matchup. I think not that any matchup against Colorado is elite, but it's good enough that I'll take some stabs at Vegas 2 at reasonably low ownership. We're seeing Riley Smith potentially back in the lineup. I haven't heard on Vegas Morning Skate today if they had one, but if Smith is back, maybe some people are worried that he might miss, and so they'll see the day-to-day tag on the respective sites and go elsewhere. But it's one of those things where if he doesn't play, you probably get enough swaps. There's still 2 more games after them that I haven't locked, so I'm not too worried about plugging in Smith. And if he's out, try to get to Alex Tuch or go to one of the later games. Shea Theodore, 6,200, just playing amazing right now. So I'm all over him in my Vegas 1 lineups. I like him as a one-off. I like Pietrangelo a lot as a one-off for 5,500. And then Alec Martinez is more expensive than Pietrangelo. The ownership is going to be, what separates them. Martinez is going to be a lot lower owned than Pietrangelo. So maybe as a pivot, if you want to go to some Alec Martinez instead of Alex Pietrangelo, that's fine. But I do like Pietrangelo straight up if the ownership doesn't matter to you that much on one of your defenseman spots. And then are people punting with Patty Nemeth tonight, 2,600? I think there's some talk of that. He had like over 20 minutes 2 games ago. Last game, I think he was at closer to 16, 17. So whatever. If you want to punt with Nemeth and you think he's going to play closer to 20 minutes, that's fine. Graves' minutes have been down recently, so a little worried about him, but his price has also dropped 3,600, and he's definitely got higher upside than our boy Patrick Nemeth, and he's only $1,000 more. I think we're good on this game. Just to recap, not as high on the field, not as high on Colorado 1 as the field tonight. So it's just a really tough 5-on-5 matchup. I'm a little worried with no Rantanen in there that this line isn't quite the same, but I'm definitely willing to get I got McDavided the other night. I'm willing to get MacKinnon tonight because it definitely could happen even in a tough spot. Before we get to the next game, just want to remind everyone, if you would like a shout out, if you have a screenshot you'd like to share with us, if you go to the Awesemo Hall of Fame page, you can see that we've got screenshots from subscribers and content people, and we want to share yours as well. So if you use our tools and you tag one of us, we'll alert the Awesemo Hall of Fame account. It's just at Awesemo, HOF Hall of Fame. And we'll give you a shout out. And it's pretty cool just to help build community and help show you guys off, because there's a lot of subscribers that are doing very well. And if you want to have, be part of this, be part of the Slack chat, I think NHL Slack is the best, but I might be a little bit biased. We've got packages for not only platinum, but sport specific packages. And I'm happy to help out. If you guys got any questions, you can just go to awesemo.com/join or just DM me on Twitter or in Slack, I guess, if you've been in Slack before. But happy to help out and pick a subscription that is right for you. Let's go to the Ducks and the Kings. 2.4 implied total for the Ducks, 3.1 for the Kings. Probably, I thought it was going to be Gibson. Was that last night or 2 nights ago? Well, it was Anthony Stolarz. So I've got Gibson very, very penciled in. I've got Quick penciled in as well. $8,300 Jonathan Quick. What a time to be alive. Is it 2014 already for Jonathan Quick? I don't know, but I really like the Kings here. Famous last words. Like it just never works out with the Kings. It feels like I do like the spot, but I just know how it goes with the LA Kings. They just constantly let down in these good spots. I don't think it could really be much better of a spot for LA1 here. They're fully correlated. They're pretty cheap. They're not that highly owned. We're showing only one of the 3 guys with above 10% ownership. So sign me up for some LA1. They're going to go up against Lundstrom, Comtois, and Raquel, which decent line offensively in terms of generating chances. They're just bad defensively. And so Kopitar, I think, is going to run them over. They did a good job running them over 2 nights ago. They just didn't get the results. They're probably not the best finishing line, but you don't really have to be against the Ducks here. And if it's not Gibson, even better for the Kings. I also like the second line. I'm not seeing – I actually haven't heard any news on the Kings. Is Lizotte out? Looks like he's not on the lineup builder. So anyways, doesn't really matter. I like LA2 as well. Whatever it ends up being, Velarde, Wagner, and Athanasiou, I'll play them for free basically against the Getzlaf line or steal Jones and Terry. So I do like the LA side here. Not saying you should Josh stack them. I actually think that's probably a pretty bad idea. They're not the highest upside offense, and they're kind of too cheap to really need to Josh stack. So I think you just pick between one of the top 2 lines. Obviously, I like LA1 better than LA2, but I think it is a really good spot for some of the depth on this LA side. Cliffy says, watching other people break down Anaheim LA Kings games turning into a real joy for me. Yeah, never fun to break down these 2 teams, but it's even less fun when you're on one of the teams. You have to get on and say that you like LA1. So we'll see if they end up being like the chalk filler, but for now, it looks pretty good to me, and I'm kind of all over it. So hopefully it's Stolarz, and then we can get an upside performance here from the Kings. Defenseman, it's just Doughty, I think, for me on the Kings side. On the Duck side, Fleury's still min salary, $2,500. I'm in for some of that. Same thing with Drysdale, $3,100 as well. So just that top pairing there for the Ducks, probably going to get around 20 minutes. It seems like their ice time fluctuates a lot. So maybe you don't get quite to 20, but they're all dirt cheap. Last game of the night, we've got the Coyotes and the Sharks, 2.8 implied total for the Yotes, 2.7 for the Sharks. And it's going to be Kemper, likely, against the Coroner, Joseph Coronar, or Coroner, however you would like to pronounce his name. I mean, so the lines on the screen are not updated just yet. Again, we'll get to these as the day goes on. Here were the lines earlier today in Sharks practice. Barabanov, Hertl, and Kane. So that's correct on the lineup builder. And then after that, they did some swapping. Logan Couture with Balsers and John Leonard. LeBanc with True and Gregor. Timo Meier with Marlowe and Blickfield. So there you go. Timo Meier playing with 65-year-old Patrick Marlowe. I don't know why, but you basically can't really play Timo Meier tonight, unfortunately. If he was with Couture, I think that you definitely could. People were talking about him as a cash play. I think I would agree with that, but you just can't have any confidence that he's going to play with anyone decent, at least in this decade. Now, Hertl, Kane, Barabanov, I really, really like them as a full stack. They're going to be pretty popular, I would think. We're showing just under 20% on Hertl and Kane. I think that's about right. Barabanov probably going to have about half of that. He'll get left off a bunch. I think you can leave him off. I think you don't have to. You could go Couture, Hertl, and Evander Kane, plus one of the defensemen. That's another thing I like to do on the Sharks tonight. This game exploded the other night, but since we don't have a really strong second line, or actually, I think Couture is still going to match up with Schmaltz, Bunting, and Keller, and you take off Timo Meier on that line. I'm willing to take some stabs at Arizona 1 here. Their prices come down. I'm not really sure why, but they're going to be popular, and so they're the 12.5 to full stack, which is kind of crazy. They shouldn't be that cheap. So if you want to go to Arizona 1, that's fine. I'll have some Arizona 1 for sure. I want pieces of a lot of things in this game, but I also like Arizona 2. They've got really good numbers at 5-on-5, and they're about a third of the ownership of Arizona 1 right now on our ownership projections. Again, those are free. If anybody wants to check those out, Nightbot should be giving you the goods there. Oh yeah, Josh stacked 6 skaters from one team on DraftKings. You can't do that on FanDuel, but you can do it on DraftKings. Where was I at? Oh yeah, Arizona 2. They're also dirt cheap and just good 5-on-5 numbers. I'm willing to take chances on lines, even in small samples. If they've got really good numbers, it could just be a matter of a few good matchups in a row or just complete randomness. But, we're still talking about the Sharks here. Talking about Marty Jones's backup, the Coroner. So I'll be on some of the Arizona side as well. But my favorite line here is San Jose 2, the Hertl, Kane, Barabanov line. It's just not any sort of secret because of what the Sharks did. Like you're not going to get split ownership on the top 2 lines anymore because they ruined the rest of their lines. So there's a clear number 1 for the Sharks, but it's going to be everyone's clear number 1. I am on Carlson. I am on Brent Burns to some extent, but I think I'm going to have more Carlson tonight. And then Chychrun, this guy, I think I said it the other day, but he was low owned. He did have tournament winning upside, and he did win some tournaments for our boy. The Whistles Go Woo. Actually, I don't know if he won that night, but if not, I know he had some Chychrun in the util spot. So I don't know which defenseman is going to score 40 points tonight, but I hope I have them locked in my utility spot, like our new favorite guy. Goligoski is also on the top power play as well. Huge price difference between those two guys, $2,800 on DraftKings. Obviously, try to get to Chychrun if you can, if you're stacking Arizona 1, but Goligoski's fine as well for 3,600. More of a shot blocking guy, not really peripherals. He would just be a guy that I would include in Arizona 1 stacks if you need to make a cheap 3-man forward stack a little bit cheaper. But I think that's all I've got on this game. I'm kind of fed up with the Sharks. Just terrible job putting together their lines outside of the one that everyone's going to play. So the way I'll try to differentiate is doing a little bit of power play stacking with Couture, Hurdle, Kane, and one of the defensemen if you want to go the 4-man Sharks stack. And then I think you can play either goalie in this game as well. Low totals against, not the best scoring teams on either side. And you could see this game tightening up a little bit after the goal fest 2 nights ago. Chikrin, wildly underpriced on FanDuel literally every night. Yeah, I think on FanDuel, last time I played was a couple weeks ago. I think he was like 4,800 or 5K, which is crazy. Like he shouldn't, this entire season, he probably shouldn't have ever been under 5K. It's the Shark tank for a reason. Yeah, you're not kidding. They're actively trying to lose games with these line combinations. Hat trick pick. Yeah, feel free to drop your guys' in chat if you would like. I am going to go. Let's see here. I thought I had one queued up, but yeah, okay. I will take William Nylander. That's my hat trick pick. $6,200 for Bill Nylander. I think, Toffoli is a pretty good candidate as well. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. Toronto and Montreal, which isn't a super hot take. I think it's the second highest totals game on the slate, but I do like this game a lot, both second lines. And then that's even before we get to Matthews and Marner. So there you go. Cliffy's got Fiala. Ooh, $6,500 Fiala on the third line. That's going to be pretty low. And it's a spicy call there from Cliffy. So a good one nonetheless. All right, I'm going to get out of here. If you guys could, drop a like on the way out. If you're not subscribed to the channel, again, I don't know what you're waiting for. Subscribe to the channel because it's only going to help you out. You'll see when we go live for not only NHL, but NBA shows, PGA. We've got Live Before Lock coming on for PGA. Tonight, we've got a couple hours of MLB and NBA coverage as well. And a bunch more stuff to come. MMA. We've got pretty much every sport that there's DFS for. If you haven't checked out Jock Market just yet, promo code Awesemo NHL20 will give you a $20 deposit on your first deposit bonus on your first deposit. So go check them out if you haven't. And thanks to them for sponsoring the show. Cliffy and Josh will be back tomorrow. Good luck until then.